Novel, moral suffering, inner despair, and the urgency of awakening consciousness. The testimony of the spirit novel, presented in the second part of Heaven and Hell, reveals an intense picture of spiritual suffering marked by inner despair, rebellion against oneself, and the difficulty of accepting one's own moral responsibility. His account shows how suffering can worsen when consciousness awakens to error but has not yet found emotional balance or direction for transformation. Novel manifests in a state of deep disturbance. His intellectual clarity is preserved, but his emotions are disorganized. He suffers, complains, feels wronged, and at the same time recognizes that his condition is linked to the choices made in life. This internal contradiction generates a state of continuous pain, fueled by the resistance to fully accept spiritual reality. Modern depth psychology helps to understand this state. When the individual recognizes their own responsibility but is still dominated by uncontrolled emotional impulses, an intense internal conflict arises. The mind oscillates between guilt, rebellion, and despair. In the spiritual realm, where there are no external distractions, this conflict manifests with greater intensity. Spiritism clarifies that novel suffering is neither divine punishment nor eternal condemnation. He suffers because his consciousness awakened before achieving emotional balance. He perceives the error but has not yet developed the necessary serenity to transform this recognition into learning. In this case, suffering is exacerbated by a lack of inner acceptance. Modern science reinforces this reading by demonstrating that maturation processes require emotional regulation. Recognizing failures without developing self-control and reflection leads to despair, not evolution. Consciousness needs time, guidance, and effort to reorganize its internal states. Another important point from Novel's testimony is the absence of conscious resignation. He still does not accept the law of cause and effect as an educational tool. As long as he resists this understanding, suffering persists. Spiritism teaches that resignation is not passivity, but a lucid understanding of one's own condition and a willingness to change. The account also shows that spiritual suffering can be more intense when there is impulsivity, wounded pride, and difficulty with serene self-criticism. Consciousness struggles against itself. This state is not definitive, but it requires deep inner work to be overcome. Spiritism shows that as Novel learns to replace rebellion with reflection, despair with conscious responsibility, and sterile guilt with a sincere desire for repair, his inner state will begin to transform. Suffering does not disappear through external imposition, but through a real change of consciousness. This testimony offers us a clear and current warning. Recognizing mistakes without emotional maturity can generate unnecessary suffering. Therefore, self-knowledge must be accompanied by balance, humility, and a willingness to learn. Consciousness grows when it recognizes, accepts, and transforms. Novel teaches us that suffering is not in the mistake itself, but in how we deal with it. Rebellion imprisons, understanding liberates. Spiritual life does not punish despair, but awaits the moment when consciousness is ready to take the next step. Reflecting on this account is an invitation to inner vigilance in the present. Developing emotional balance, responsibility, and serenity now is an essential care for the future of one's own consciousness. If this testimony helped you reflect on despair, responsibility, and inner growth, like, share, and leave your comment. Your participation helps this message reach more people.